Hello, thank you for tuning into my video. Today I'm going to show you how to repair a power window on a mid-90s Ford. For this particular car, the motor works fine, but when you try to raise and lower, it will catch. So you can hear the motor running, but it's just not going up and down, it's just kind of shaking. So this one's decent shape. I've already done the driver's side, and that one didn't really work at all. The particular car I'm working on today is a 1995 Ford Thunderbird LX, and I'll show you the problem that you have is this is the plastic gear that turns inside, the motor fits inside here and spins, and there's a little insert that goes in each corner of this triangle, and it's this insert that has broken down and disintegrated over time. So the first step to do is we got to take the door panel off. And on the 95 Thunderbird, to do that, the first step is to take this plastic cover off of this door light. So I'm going to use a screwdriver, and there's an insert here. And you have to be extra careful because the plastic on this car can be rather brittle. So I will gently take that off. And inside here, in the corner, there is a Phillips screw. So just take a Phillips screwdriver, and I'll back that out. Now I've left the battery hooked up on the car. If you think you're going to take a while, you might want to unhook the battery because the dome light's on in the car and this light's on, and that can run the battery down. Okay. So now that that's off, the next step is to take this panel off. It's an interior panel to the door panel where all the power controls are. So to do that, I'm going to use a trim removal tool, and if you don't have one, screwdrivers will work, but you have to be careful because they can scratch things. Just slips over the door handle, and on the back side you have all of the wires. For this, you can disconnect this, but I'm just going to leave this hanging because I want to use the buttons to test the window. So on the inside here, there is a little Phillips screw on this metal plate, and that needs to be removed next. And here's a close-up of the metal screw. It's right in here. That needs to come off. And as you can see, from this trim piece, there were several clips that you have to pop out. Go ahead and remove this. You want to be careful not to drop the screw. There's also a grounding wire that you got to take off. So surprisingly, that's really all you have to take off is these two screws, and now the door panel itself will come off. And to do that, you want to grab from underneath and lift up. It just slips right off. And then you want to fish this through the opening in the door panel. And there are some clips on here with the wires that you might want to pop off. For example, see if I can't show a close-up of it here. Okay, this particular clip you want to pop it out. It's just one of those push pin clips. And that would give you more room to lower the door panel. And just stick this through, like so. And now the door panel is still connected because of the light in the door. Because of this light, there's still the wire for that. I could unplug it, but honestly I'm just going to leave it sit here for now. So now we got the vapor barrier that needs to come off. Usually these just fall off. This one's still stuck on, surprisingly. It'll just peel off. It's stuck really good. I'm actually rather impressed how well this one's stuck in a car this age. All right, so what we want to do is we need to remove the motor housing for the power window. So to do that, there are going to be 3 bolts to take off. And it's going to be hard to see. Grab a light. Okay. So we've got 3 bolts that need to come out. There's 1, 2, and then the third one is down low. These 3 bolts require an 8mm socket. Okay, so I'm going to remove these 3 bolts to get the motor housing off. Loosen each one first. So you want to be careful taking these off because you don't want them to fall down in the door. Right now I'm using a screwdriver to hold the housing up tight so I can get the screw out easier. Switching to just the socket now. Again, I'm being careful not to drop the screw. And this one I can put my finger behind it and push it, hold it against the socket, and then let it fall down inside the door. So now I need to retrieve the motor. First we're going to unplug it. To unplug this, you just lift up on the tab and pull on the harness. Okay. Now I need to retrieve everything. There it is. Just a little tip when you drop the screw. Use a magnetic screwdriver if you can find it and try to fish it out. Just like that. Okay. Here. All right. Right, so here it is. So now we will head to the workbench to take this apart. Okay, now that we're at the workbench, show you a close-up here of what we've got. So now we need to remove this particular screw right here. Okay, we'll take this T20 Torx, and I'll just swap that out here on my screwdriver. And this screw will come out. Okay. And then this cover plate come right off. And now you can see on the inside what was going on. All of these little crumbs are those 3 inserts that I showed you before on the new piece that have disintegrated and just crumbled. So when the gear turns, it can't grab anything. Okay, so the next step is to get this gear off. And this is the tricky part. Clean it up a little bit here. There is a clip on here, and different year Fords and different makes and models have different clips. This one just has a little C-clip that will slip off, but when you pop it off, you have to be careful because it can go flying and it's so small you'll never find it. So what I'm going to do is take a bucket. I'm going to attempt to remove it inside the bucket, so if it goes flying, the bucket will contain where it goes. And to get it off, I don't have a special tool, I just have 2 flathead screwdrivers. And I am going to rotate it here. I'm going to essentially push both ends at the same time and try to get it to pop off, while simultaneously holding the entire housing from sliding. So let's see how this goes. Starting to come off. Got it started, so now I'm actually going to try to hold it with my finger so it doesn't pop. There. And this is it. Just a little bitty clip there, kind of hard to see. Careful where I sit that. Now, everything should just fall right out. So I'm just going to flip it over. Dump all the crap out. Just let everything come out. It's going to be greasy. You might not want to come off the shaft too easily because I think there's a little gasket in there that holds it. There we go. Alright, so here's the inside, and you can see as the motor turns the shaft, there's little gears in here, and then when the gears turn, that rotates this, and then this piece just slips in here over the shaft, and when this turns, the inserts will catch, and it'll keep this from slipping so that it'll turn with it. And then these gears go on the regulator in the door so that the brackets will move the window up and down. These 3 inserts need to go inside here. And this is the tricky part. Okay, so what I'll do is, I'm not going to be able to just slip it all in there. So I will take one of these out completely. And I will get this started between these 2. And then I will tilt it, and I will take this and I will essentially wedge this in so that everything compresses and it goes in. So bear with me while I make this work. There we go. And that will just push right in. And now it's all locked tight. And these inserts act as a little shock absorber to help make the window move smoother, less noisy. Great design if you use a material that doesn't disintegrate like this. Now to put this back together, I want to grease everything. So I happen to have a grease gun that was just sitting here, so I'm going to just cheat and use it. I will just squeeze a little out. And the underside, put a little on here. Okay. I will some to shaft on here as well. This will just slip on like so. And before I grease the rest of it, I need to put the clip back on. So get this little guy, if I can pick it up, okay. And this just pushes back on. So, whoa, totally almost lost that. Okay. Yeah, I know this is easy to lose because I actually lost the one on the driver's side. Actually, I'm going to do this inside the bucket in case it goes flying again. There. Now it's on. And that will keep this from slipping off. Okay, I actually just took this over the air compressor and blew it out, so that's a little cleaner now. Now I will finish greasing it. Now I gotta put the cover back on, but I'll get all the crumbs off of it too. Okay, now just take our little screw with our T20 Torx, screw that back on. Okay, and now we're all set to put this back in the car. So I'll head back over to the car now. Alright, so now I'm back at the car, and I'm going to go ahead and put this back in. You want to make sure you get it lined up correctly, it makes it a little easier. This one, I believe, goes slightly angled like this, so this is pointing down. Make sure the pad's facing you, and the motor is towards the front of the car. Reach in here. Okay. Helps if you have small hands and a small arm. So yeah, we'll go ahead and got one started. I'll just get it slightly snug. I'll grab the next one. Move this out of the way here so you can see better. So now I need to get this in here, and then I got another one down here. It's kind of hard to see. Go ahead and tighten all three. Okay, so I've got a just a trim removal tool. I'm going to actually reach in here to help pull the wire harness. All right, got it. Now this just plugs back in. Okay, now it's time to test it. Should be hooked up to my buttons here. Okay, so now I'm just going to give it a try and see if it works. Give it a quick tap. Down it goes. And up it goes. Try it again. Window goes down. Window goes up. So we got that fixed, and now we just need to button everything back up. When you put this moisture barrier back on, it's not going to stick like it did before. if it was even stuck in the first place. I'll lift the panel back up. And I'm going to put the bottom in first. So little tabs, line them up. Lock the door so it fits. Line all the tabs up. Alright, and this goes up here. Push that back in. Okay. Ground on. Screws back in. Okay. And then this trim, just this little tab here. Push that in. First though, you need to trying to fill. Okay. So we'll slip the door handle through this little hole. There's a little tab on the end of this. Make sure that lines up. Slide that in, and then make sure your wires are clear. And this will just pop back into place, like so. Okay, I need to do a little upholstery work. The foam padding has disintegrated over time, so the glue doesn't stick to it anymore. So you can't really put more glue on it because it just crumbles. The padding does. So I will clean this up a little bit better later. I typically just wedge it in there, and it usually does okay for a while. Just to kind of hold it temporarily while I finish this. Okay. So now we just need to put the screw back in on the door. Just get that snug. Take a cover plate, make sure the red's on the outside, the tab's on the bottom. Line up the tab. Should snap right back in. Again, be careful not to crack it. And that's it. Hit the button again. And it goes down. And then it goes back up. So that concludes this tutorial on how to repair a power window on a mid-90s Ford. You know, several of these are known to have this problem. You know, with F-150s, Thunderbirds, Mustangs, you know, Tauruses, pretty much all the Fords from that era use the same parts, and they all have failed over time. And so there are some differences. I think on the truck you have to actually drill holes in the sheet metal to get to the bolts to take the motor out, so you have to take the whole window regulator out. But on this one it was fairly simple. It was just pull the door panel off and remove the motor, swap out the part. The new part I got off of eBay for like 10 bucks, so not a big deal. You can also use your own parts, you know, steel ball bearings or anything you got that's the right size can fit in there in place of those inserts, and you can just reuse what you got if you don't want to order new parts. And so replace the inserts, you put the motor back on and put the door panel back on and button it all up, and then it should be good to go. So if this was helpful and you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up. Appreciate you taking the time to watch.